Cool. So this is just a quick video for Mr. Choap or Chope01 on the Global Offensive Reddit, just showing how I put together this first skin. So this is Cartridge, which is for the 5.7, based on a classic handheld console from the 90s. So in Blender, I'm in texture paint mode, and I've got the texture that I've created on the left and the model on the right. I'm in edit mode, but so you can paint on the texture right. This is going to lag like hell. Like if you paint with a really big brush in Blender, it's just going to kind of crash. Probably shouldn't have done that. Just give it a sec. What are we on? So it didn't do anything because we're on add alpha anyway. So let me just reduce the size of that. So that's just holding F and reducing the size of the brush. How did it come out so clean? Actually, if you look at the UV map, the texture itself is not very clean, right? The edges are everywhere. If I go into edit mode and enable X-ray mode and just select everything, it'll show you the UV on this side. And I was manually painting things for ages, and then I kind of clicked on that there's a better way of doing it. So what's nice is in Blender, if I look at this mesh, especially the devs who've put these maps together, they've kind of seamed everything off so you can select things really easily. So for instance, if I select this vertices and press L, it will then select just the faces for that little part of the gun. If I go into texture paint mode and then enable isolate faces or paint mask, then I can kind of go in and either paint that. Let's just change that to mix. I can paint that, or I can fill it. Right, set that to mix. Set this to a different color. Give it a second. Oh, it's on a different strength. Right, make sure your strength's up, and I can just paint that in. Right, so that makes it really easy. There are some parts of the model, if I just set that back to black, there are some parts of the model where that's not quite as straightforward, and you've just got to go in and kind of manually select things. So if I select that and press L, it seems to just select the entire gun, even though that looks like it's seamed off. You might want to try different vertices and see what happens. But for instance, on this, I literally just had to kind of select them all. And I know there are shortcuts in Blender for selecting faces that are next to each other and stuff. But for instance, down here on this gun, there are some faces that are kind of tucked away, and I wanted this to be the same colour as this. So some manual work in doing that part. But most of this stuff is kind of, you can just press L and it'll select it. Press L and it will select it, which is quite straightforward. So yeah, in terms of like time being put into the painting aspect, it didn't take too long, but I've always wanted to do this kind of design for kind of a yeah, I don't want to mention the name just in case a certain company comes after me in the middle of the night. But that's the main bit. And then what I didn't realise on the 5.7 is there are these parts, so these little triggers and these bits, that if you don't set the alpha, so if I'm currently I'm on colour, which is just the colour. If I go on the alpha, this is all white at the minute. So white in Blender means opaque, so it's going to show it. But there's a guide that I downloaded called The Definitive Guide on the Weapon Finish, and that is available at overpay.guide. It's a really well put together thing, and on page 20 we've got wear and fong and alpha channel. So basically when the alpha channel is fully white, that means default wear. So the default wear on the 5.7 is for that, for these little triggers. Oh, hold on. For these little triggers to be fully worn down at all times. So what I ended up doing is go into image and then invert alpha channel, which in Blender, if I go to object mode, the texture then disappears, because in Blender black means transparent, but in Counter-Strike that means that it's going to have no wear on it. So what I ended up doing was kind of using the brush tool and setting that to erase alpha, setting the radius up a bit, and no, is it add alpha? Yeah, add alpha. Add alpha, set the strength down a bit, change the fall off so it's got a nice soft softness to it, and then just paint in some of these alpha bits in, just to, like, I'm thinking about where the hand holds the gun, the trigger, the reload, that is where it would probably get worn down most. So even in this kind of mode as well, we can go to add alpha and set it to brush, sorry, add alpha, and then just start painting some of that in. So the lighter it is, the more worn down it's going to be. So that just takes a bit of time, but it's not too bad. And then yeah, I mean that's how it came out so clean. It's not complicated. I think it just took a while to figure out that you can do some of these things with the isolation mode on. I want to look into doing a normal map next for the next skin, whatever that is. But doing this side by side is really yeah, quite straightforward in Blender. It's just the lagging on the brush that's the worst part. Is there anything else that I need to cover? Let's have a look. Another guide that I used is this by Cute Bits, which I can link to as well. In the folder I've got this file which is for the model, but then I've got another file, so I'll not save that. I've got another file which is what I did the actual like header image in. So if I go to this has not got the texture on it. Let me just load that up. And I need to go into texture paint and change the texture and invert the alpha on that. So it's a bit annoying. I wish you could set it so that it was inverted and like matched up, but that doesn't seem to be possible. Okay, that's not working, but I'm not going to go into it. But I downloaded like a texture from Polyhaven and HDRI and kind of rendered that out and made it look somewhat decent. What else? Let's have a look. Oh, I did one thing that I did for this bit as well, just to help it out, is use GCFscape to extract the textures, which there's a part on this about kind of getting the... Oh, hold on. No, it's not in this guide. There's another guide where you can extract the ambient occlusion map, which ambient occlusion is just kind of the shadows in the bits that where the recesses are and stuff, so where the shadows are like that. Let's get these images up. So these kind of bits, it just adds a bit more depth. I tried getting the texture out from, let's have a look, on these bits, like the text and stuff, but that is like, they've tiled it up and it's a bit nuts when you extract it. So it's not possible to really get that to work in Blender. It'd take a bit of time, and I don't think it's all there anyway. So yeah, but that's quite useful. And then yeah, that's it. Hopefully that's helpful. Sorry, it's a bit of a ramble, but if you've got any questions, like, I'm learning this. I do graphic design and I do a bit of modelling, so I thought I'd finally give it a go. But I'm still learning, so if you've got any questions, like, maybe we can help each other out. Yeah, cheers. Thank you very much. Have a good day.